So is anybody in the call not familiar with the NDIS Commission's expectations on making reports to them about mandatory reporting for participant incidents, unauthorized restricted practices, etc.? I see no hands up, nothing in the chat. Happy days. Look, 24 hours to make a report to the Commission for a reportable incident, and you have 5 days to make a report in regards to an unauthorized restricted practice. Unauthorized means it's been endorsed by a behaviour support practitioner, but hasn't been endorsed by a restricted practice panel. Depending on what state you are, there's a different process for every state, which is annoying, but the restricted practices are endorsed and authorized by a panel at a state community services level. If you're operating and you're administering unauthorized restricted practices, heavy penalties apply, and those penalties have increased since, I think, the 1st of March. So really important that that stuff's not happening in your service. So the application versus the audit, understanding what the real work is. I see in the chat there's a few people who are registered. So I know for one of our most recent audits, we probably spent 30 man and women hours, 30 people hours on the preparation for the audit, and then 2 days with the auditor. So with 3 management staff. So a lot of time consumed in preparing and executing the audit, which, by the way, went through perfectly fine with 0 issues. But that time piece is a big cost in many businesses. The application itself, very easy to do the renewal audit. So lodge application with the NDIS Commission for registration group 0138 and any other group that you think you might want to provide supports to. So if your business plan has a growth strategy where you want to provide allied health therapies in 3 years' time, perhaps apply for that registration if you have the key personnel and the policy suite and the skills to deliver those supports. If you might want to provide support coordination in 2 years' time, once again, apply for that group and make sure you've got all of your ducks in a row. You've got the key personnel, you've got a support coordinator with experience, you've got the policy suite, you've got the practice standards in place, you know how to deliver support coordination. Otherwise, when you get to your midterm audit and you want to make any changes to your registration groups, it costs you more money. Eligible existing providers can continue delivery until during transition. After application, the Commission will give you a scope of audit. Sometimes it can be within 15 minutes of your application question, sometimes it can be a week. So it varies. The provider then needs to engage an approved auditor. There is a list on the Commission's website of their approved auditors. I said a few slides ago, I would speak to 3 or 4 of them. I would ask them these key questions. Is your quote the definite price? Does the quote include face-to-face for our stage 2 audit? Are your auditors employed or contracted? I would avoid organizations that contract their auditors. I would try and pick an auditor who employs the auditor. That person probably feels more valued by their organization and is probably more likely to be more engaged in getting your audit through as compliantly as possible. And I would also ensure that the auditor gives you scope to the deadline of the application. Obviously, the 1st of October is approaching, so you'd want to have it defined in your agreement that the application will be made by X date. After the application, so stage 1, approved auditor reviews all your documents, your policies and governance evidence, including your worker checks and your staff governance. They'll then come and do an on-site assessment. They'll look at your systems in use, your staff and participants will be consulted with. The auditor will then submit the recommendations to the Commission by that defined deadline in your agreement. And the Commission then will make their final registration decision. Now, for anyone that's not registered yet, the Commission can take 3 months to 12 months to make their decision and give you your certificate of registration. You're not registered officially until you get that certificate in your email inbox.